Welcome back, everyone, to Reimagine 2020 V5. This is our fifth version of our virtual conference, and I'm your host, Roshan Marajkar. I'm so excited to be joined by a returning guest here, Reimagine 2020. I'm so excited to have Ryan Cooper, the co-founder of the Bowie State University Blockchain Association. Ryan, welcome back to the show. How have you been since the last time I've spoken to you? And I'm really excited to talk about what you've been working on since then.
I'm very excited to be talking to you again. I'm glad to be alive. It's COVID. So yeah, I'm just glad to be breathing and I'm glad to be making all these thousands of dollars every day.
Yeah, definitely. Just to start things off, why don't we go into since the start of this virtual time, what are some of the things that you've been working on? Has it disrupted any of the projects that you've been working on, or have you been able to work on new projects? So, can you kind of talk about the positives and negatives from your side?
Right. So as far as the Bowie State University Blockchain Association, we basically had to shut our campus down. So I've been trying to do everything virtually as far as recruiting new students in the MIS program, the computer science students, as well as the business major students. But overall, it hasn't slowed me down at all. I love all the virtual conferences I've been attending. For example, the Reimagine 2020 Volume 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we're working on 4 now. I love everything. I just did the Morgan State FinTech Centers conference last weekend, and I just been very hands-on. I've been doing the Black Blockchain Summit every year. Any conference I can do, whether it's one-on-one blockchains, I'm a U.S. ambassador for them. The Government Blockchain Association, I highly recommend any students watching this video to reach out to Gerard Dash or anyone from that association. They do have student memberships that are for free, and then you can actually get access to meet a lot of people. So I just throwing that out there. So yeah, I'm doing good. COVID messed me up, but I mean I lost about $30,000, but I made about so it's nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah, for sure. So why don't we go in? I know you work on a lot of different projects in addition to helping with the Bowie State University Blockchain Association, the student group you have. So how are you thinking of this new world? Like, do you think the same business models are still the case? How have you sort of shifted your thoughts on what are some of the next things that you could be working on? So maybe get into like what do you think you need to do now to keep students involved in a virtual time to learn crypto, right?
So what I'm working on, and I would like to give a special shout out to Dr. Andrew Mangle. He taught me a lot about the insides as far as the Rinkeby testnet and Solidity and all of these back end things. He is also the other co-founder of the Bowie State University Blockchain Association. So special shout out to Dr. Andrew Mangle. He was also speaking at the conference this past weekend, Morgan State FinTech. But as far as what we can do, incentives is what I say. Airdrops, free ebooks. If anyone's willing to sponsor that, we got to find incentives to get these students involved. So we can say, you know, free raffle, $500 Bitcoin, which is a lot of money. But imagine if you already had a a group of like thousands willing to jump in. That would be the bait. Not to say those terms, but what I'm working on, what I'm trying to say is the big concern is incentive. You got to find a way to get students involved, concerned, and then you got to find a way to retain them and get them to come back. And I think airdrops, you got to find ways like celebrities. I'm working on these things now, but you got to find ways to engage these students to show them like, yo, crypto's the way. Little Yachty just did a stable coin, or maybe not a stable coin, but an Ethereum coin. Some of these rappers are doing coins. I forgot Little Twist. I forget the name of the rappers, but all these rappers, some of them are coming out with these coins. So we just got to push it out there, and hopefully Elon Musk doesn't ruin it for us.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't. And I mean, there's a variety of different projects to work on. I feel like, during this virtual time, there certainly is a lot of virtual opportunities to still be a part of a lot of these different projects. Can you kind of talk about, at the last time I spoke to you, you were applying for grants. You were working on like, uh, I think some R&D projects. So what's the progression of that? And let's recap. Like, did you take advantage of a lot of the opportunities you spoke about last time? You gave a lot of students out there like some resources, some grants you could apply to. So just want to check in on you now. Now.
So yeah, so I've done a few things. I've invested some of my crypto profits into a company where we're reaching out to urban deserts. If anyone doesn't know what these are the urban communities where they've kind of been socioeconomically, racially distanced from all of the good, produce, fruits and vegetables, etc. So what we're doing is eventually we're going to put this on the blockchain, and I'm one of their main consultants. But I've invested significant amounts of my crypto profits, and what we're working on. The name of the company is called Grocery, and we're trying to attack this urban desert problem by linking up small farmers, whether they be urban or not, and link them up and put that whole logistics potentially into a blockchain. We work into that problem with the shelf life problem. Let me piggyback real quick. I was just at the Morgan State FinTech conference over the weekend, and I was talking to a young lady in the Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and one of her main problems, she said, whenever they have a disaster, is the shelf life. When the ships come into port and they try to get the relief aid to the mothers and the children and everything, well, the logistics of those middlemen, that makes that shelf life die. So one potential use case that I can have with what I'm working on, and I've already invested actual fiat in, is we can fix this problem with that shelf life problem, getting food from the actual farmer directly to the person that knows how to cook it. So yeah, that's one idea I'm working on. I'm also working on another idea with music. Like I said, I'm 41 years old, but when I was 10, I got signed by Wu-Tang Clan and the Gravediggers to be a producer. Then I also got a record deal to play piano for Jeffrey Osborne, Love, Togetherness, and Devotion, and I did that for a while. So I know a lot about the music industry, and what I'm working on is we're trying to figure out a utility token where we can create NFTs to instrumentals, merchandise for rappers. I can't talk anymore, but I'm doing a lot on the back end, and I'm not playing around, y'all. I'm dead serious. I've been doing this 6 years. I'm not playing around. I'm gonna be a millionaire, y'all.
Yeah, and I like how most of the projects I've seen you work on are heavily impact focused. I feel like it's always trying to make something more efficient or make something more balanced. So yeah, thanks for sharing that project about the urban desert problem. I think it's pretty interesting, and yeah, when you just described the benefits of using a blockchain, I think a lot of companies and organizations during this time are more open to using blockchain, just because like you're telling me if it can reduce the shelf life there, maybe more important things like the virus that's going around. Maybe there's some projects that can help improve tracing, or you get better data. So do you think that should be using more blockchain right now? Like, do you think that can actually create more real world impact to get us out of the world we're in, or do you think it'll accelerate the world we're in? I guess.
It's funny you asked that, Roshan. Roshan, I'm working on a project. I'm not. I'm lying. Like I'm lying. I'm not working on it, but I know of a good friend of mine who's working on it. Shout out to Ryan Robinson from Conduit. He actually is working on a solution with the White House, and he's got federal and state grants, and he's working on a COVID-19 solution. So he's actually found a way to rapid test COVID using blockchain. So I'm going to
Wow.
give him a personal shout out, as well as Bowie State University. We also got a federal grant to work on a COVID-19 solution to try to work on the tracing thing using GPS and things like that. So I'm familiar with what we're doing here in DC. I did see the news the other night with the mayor talking about what she has as far as that the app, the tracing app where people can opt in to use it. But what Ryan Robinson, one of my colleagues, is doing is he's using quantum computing, and he's one of the first black quantum engineers out of MIT up there in Boston. So yeah, look up Conduit, and they're doing a really good thing with COVID tracing right now.
Is that like information that anybody can look up, and is that still at like a experimental stage? Experimental stage.
It's public information. Yes, it's not non-disclosure anything.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, see, it's really interesting how you have like personal ties with all these different projects. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting. Can you talk a little bit further on, you brought up a really interesting topic that I was recently speaking to you about before this. You're talking about disability and crypto. So, can you kind of go into what are some of the projects you're working on? And, this is like a unique concept that I feel like no one has really talked about. Crypto is something that's very virtual, but I guess we also know it can be it can have forms of imagery as well. So
Yeah, I would love to talk about this. I was just on a conference earlier today. Shout out to Stellar. Shout out to all of the many magnificent people I met from that company. Stellar is the company. Y'all don't know XLM. I believe they're one of our partners. Am I wrong, Mr. Roshan?
yep, they are. We have Stellar as well.
The
Yep.
Stellar. Shout out
Yep.
to Danelle, and all of them. I just remember Danelle because her name sounds like my sister's name, Janelle. But anyway, um, I wanted to talk about disabilities, people that are blind, people that may have disabilities, people that may not be able to hold a mouse, people that may not be able to read the charts, people that may not be able to flip crypto. This has been a thing on my back radar for a minute, and she brought up a good point. So we started talking about the virtual worlds. Okay, I'm going to talk about something really important here. I'm not going to talk long. We were talking about virtual worlds, and we were talking about that world Second Life. Okay, and what she said was how we do our conferences. You have two groups of people. You have the confident and you have the unconfident. I actually just made that up, but hear me out. You have people that like to be seen, like, me on camera. Hey, I look sexy. Hey, look at me. I got my money. I got my, you know what I mean? But then you got people that might have a disability, or they might have a lazy eye, or, they might feel insecure whether they're too heavy or too skinny, or they might be too sexy. You have people of every kind of color. So what we're talking about is we have a hybrid virtual conference, okay? And me and her were talking about this, and we were talking about having like part of the conference being like this, me and you right there on camera. But then you have avatars, and you have NFTs, and you have ways to monetize, and you have ways to give everyone, not just some of us, everyone. You have inclusivity, you have accessibility, you know what I mean? So those were the things we were talking about. So I'm just trying to throw that out there, man. I'm a thinker, man. I'm a doer. I'm a thinker. I'm a generator. I'm an operator. I'm a destroyer of bad things. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly something that is probably needed in our space. If like a lot of the things that people preach, that would be something that's pretty important. I would say to the core of this industry because it is so people centric. Like even when we talk about things like nodes and decentralization, it all ties back to the same thing, which is like people, your peers, and like staying organized in some fashion, right? Um, kind of going off of this, I think another thing you were talking about is like another, I would say, like idea that's kind of pushing it. You were talking about the addition or introduction of standards in crypto. So like we have a lot of standards and laws for, like things like HIPAA and different other categories for things. But when it comes to crypto, we're not just talking about. I guess we're not talking about. Laws, we're talking about having the right structure, like in terms of
Not even to
standards.
interrupt. What I was gonna say is more so about inclusivity. You know what I mean? Accessibility. And because crypto, and we all know this, it changes fast as the F word every day. Like I wake up sometimes, I'm like, what? This new protocol came out, it changes everybody's business structure. It's a
Yeah.
threat. Everybody's got to pivot back on a business model canvas, you know what I mean? So what I'm trying to get to is we need something like the IEEE, which the engineers have. But
Mhm.
I don't know who the head lobbyists are in our cryptoverse. But these are things I think about. You know what I mean? As a smart, intelligent black man that's been in this field for 6 or 7 years. We got to figure this out, y'all. We are all love crypto, but we got to figure out what our standards, because the blind, the deaf, the deaf and the blind, and not to say that R word, I'm not gonna say it because I got a cousin that is that, but I'm like, we gotta work with them. You know, they all should be able to at least participate in this, whether it's braille or some type of you know I don't know what the technology is to help a deaf person or a blind person, but whatever's out there, we need to be using that to keep everyone inclusive, because this is it shouldn't just be for us, it should be for everyone. And that's one of my talking points, y'all. For real, develop crypto solutions, y'all. For real, man. I'm serious about it. I'm not out here to make money. I'm here to make the world better, y'all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone has talked about that specific point. Like, whenever, I mean, a lot of people do talk about inclusion, but it's mainly with, I guess, disenfranchised groups out there, and less based on a particular group. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. Um, that you brought that up. Um, so like going off of like standards, talking about other standards, I would say like just I guess the best practices or the best governance standards, we those things are missing too. Like when you think about things like DeFi, you're trying to create new standards. So do you actually believe, like in the year that we've had, think from the beginning when this virtual world started, do you actually think that those things will be like sustainable, people will use them, like we can self-govern, or will it be more on centralized governments to create those standards? Like, I'm not talking about laws, right? I'm talking about different standards now.
So help me understand the question, Roshan. You're saying, are the banks gonna reposition themselves?
Okay, no, I was asking like a lot of, let's take governance, right? A lot of these DeFi tokens, they use governance.
Voting on the rules for whatever's happening within the.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Do you think like we can self-sustain that, or do we need some sort of central structure to define that, or can we come up with them ourselves, right?
Honestly speaking, off the top of my head, I think a lot of people dealing with COVID are not going to be looking at their phones and looking at to judge whether or not they want this particular voting point to go through or not. So I don't know. I'm just speaking candidly. This is candidly speaking. Now imagine a nerd who looks at his computer every day. He's obviously gonna vote and be like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, I want that to go through." Or nah, but I don't know about the average person. Like I don't know how that would work. And then you would have a lot of non-voters. So that's just me speaking candidly. I've been doing this a long time, y'all. So that's just I don't know, man. I don't know, y'all.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly had significant voter turnout this time around, and both even in the actual crypto projects, I would say over time people are actually using these projects to cast votes on different proposals. Right, I'm talking like in the protocol themselves. But I think at the same time, we've seen this war between developers and their end users. So I would say like even recently, 2 days ago, Apple finally reduced the percent that they take from developers. So previously, developers would give them 30% of all the revenue they make, and now Apple reduced it back to 15%. So do you think this war will continue, and that's what will bring more people into crypto, like during these holiday times, or uh, yeah, what do you think about the central, I guess, organization of this company?
Let me ask you this, Roshan. What do you know about zero knowledge proof concept?
Yeah, yeah, I know a good amount about zero knowledge proofs.
Break it down to me in like 1 minute, real quick.
Yeah, so zero knowledge proofs, it's a way of proving that you have ownership of something without revealing the exact, I would say, traceable pattern. Like you can't abstract a known identity. So it's more of a way of using a key to prove that you have something.
So how could we use that in this? I was getting ready to say my solution, but how can we use that in that solution?
Well,
I said it all the way wrong. Damn.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how we could use about in that. So I'm not too sure how we could use it in that solution. But how about you tell me your idea?
Well, so the matter is trust, and then the also matter is proving the person who it is. I think like the whole thing we were talking about the CVC. Um, I'm confused. I don't know. I'm not gonna speak on it because I'm being recorded. I might be a
So
millionaire today. I don't want to say
so
something.
so so how about the discussion between like companies like Apple, right? Everyone always has pushback against them because they don't want them to be monopolistic and define their own power. So it's kind of like what you were talking about earlier to me earlier in the day, like this division between like the centralized companies, let's say developers. If you're a developer, you can define any rule you want, and even in crypto, I would say, right? Like these developers that are making these DeFi protocols, they have a lot of power. They have access to maybe smart contracts and different things like that, right? So,
But I know what I want to say now. I know what I want to
okay,
say.
go
So
ahead.
Apple is like the Cadillac of crypto. Cadillacs always broke down. We all know this. Anybody had a mom or dad, or if you were old enough to have one, Cadillacs always break down and they cost a lot of money to repair, and then everything is in house. Similar to Apple, they don't let anyone in their house. I don't even know where to begin, but anyway, I found a Apple laptop the other day, and I was trying to jailbreak it, and I could not. It's they do good technology. They're very good. So the whole point being, um, I'm actually going back on the tangent. Excuse my French, but here we go. Imagine someone loses their seed phrase or their private key, right? What do you do in that situation if you don't have a custodial person, you know what I mean, watching your stuff? So I kind of went off on a tangent, Roshan, but I got a valid point here. What does a person do, the average Joe Schmo that doesn't know what they're doing in the crypto world? And they get involved in this, and then all of a sudden they're on 1-800 customer service trying to figure out where's my crypto.
Mm-hmm. So how do you think we can? I mean, how do you think we can solve that? So are you saying that crypto is too complicated? Because a lot of those properties, I feel like, is what gives it its value prop. You know, if I help you set up your private key, for example, and for viewers out there, like a private key is what actually gives you ownership to your Bitcoin, right? If I do that for you, well, it kind of takes away, I think, the value prop. So, I mean, is that, do you agree with that, or do you think we still need to make more updates in that specific category?
I think if we had multi-signature wallets, if you had like 5 cousins or 7 cousins that all signed off on it, you know what I mean? And then we include like life insurance and all of that and IRAs. I'm jumping around everywhere I can while I got my time to shine, but hear me out. You could always do all these things, but at the end of the day, as long as you have multi-signature wallets and then you have those seed phrases and those private keys offline, meaning like somewhere fireproof, you know what I mean, where it can't be burned in a house fire or a flood, and you can take it with you. That's my win-win. That's what I'm teaching people, yo. That's what I'm teaching people.
So, you know, kind of going off of that, what do you think about the recent news about, you know, there was some news that $1 billion uh, of Bitcoin got seized. I also see some news about these institutions and different celebrities getting interested in Bitcoin or buying Bitcoin. Do you think that most of these companies actually know the proper best practices to store your Bitcoin? I think companies like MicroStrategy certainly do, but how about all of these other? I would say the next popular wave. You know, do you think they actually know what they're doing?
Hell nah. Imagine grayscale. Imagine grayscale, right? They have billions of dollars, right? In cold storage. I
Yeah,
would be
yeah,
nervous. I would be Tamo. I would be nervous. Cause
really.
cause think about it. They still gotta have that same 12-word passphrase unless they get extra privileges to do a 50-word passphrase or whatever. But a quantum computer could still figure that John out. Maybe, maybe, maybe. maybe. But I'm kind of just talking off.
So do you think, okay, and actually even in our Mouse Built University, we do our weekly coffee chats. We had a discussion about this interesting question, which I'll throw to you now because we're talking about this.
Let's go. I'm going.
So the question was, is it more safer to store your crypto in a bank, like banks got approval to custody your crypto? Is that more secure? Are there more benefits to that, or are there more benefits to self custody? What do you think?
At the moment, I haven't reached $1 million yet. When I reach 1 million, yeah, yeah. I'm still on a 6, maybe 5, 6, 7. I'm not on 7 yet, but when I hit 7, yeah, I'm definitely doing what you said.
Which is what you're gonna trust a bank to hold your crypto long term, or
No,
you're gonna try to hold it yourself?
I'm bouncing everything off the internet onto my Trezor on my Nano Ledger. I'm putting it in my strong fireproof safe box with all my guns and my AK-47s and my, you know what I mean, and all my deeds to my houses, and I'm just gonna travel the world. I'm gonna bury that under the water somewhere.
I mean, I think it's attracting this whole new wave of companies and like popular people because I think they want to use it for these specific use cases they have. I think it's interesting, however, that some of these companies they want exposure to Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, but they might still not be able to legally buy it directly, or sometimes they don't want to hold the asset directly. What do you think about the companies that want to buy the asset directly versus companies that, just buy futures or a share that represents assets, right? It's like buying GBTC or being MicroStrategy and actually buying those. I don't know how many bitcoins they bought per minute until they reached like 450 million, right? So that they didn't crash the market and you didn't increase the value in buying it. But yeah, what do you think about the difference, right? Do you think it's just random, or do you think like there is a motive between what a company does? Sorry for the long question, but yeah, that's
Nah,
kind of
I know
what I'm
exactly
thinking
what you're
about.
at. I know exactly what you're asking. I'll bet you $100 that they're buying it incrementally and probably with a bot or algorithm. I promise you. Imagine, imagine if we had that kind of fiat, right? And imagine if you had that opportunity, especially with this interest rate return that we're getting, whether it's yield farming or anything. And then it's on a corporate level. I can only imagine the consulting that's been done right before they actually engage in that transaction at that physical moment. Like, you know what I mean? Can you imagine the suspense? Can you imagine, Roshan? Like, can you like 50 million dollars? Click, like, I've been like,
It was 450 million.
oh my God. Like, can you imagine being the person to say, you looking at everybody's over your shoulder, like, you gonna do it? I'm like, I'm about to do it. I'm about to do it.
But I mean, clearly, MicroStrategy, the CEO, we actually had him on at the last Reimagine, and he's a very intelligent, guy. So that I think that kind of shows you that crypto and blockchain is no longer this closed pool of smart people. A lot of smart people continue to come in, but I think it's important to recognize that there's a lot of smart people outside the industry, and I respect their technological understanding, and we need them. You know what I mean? We actually need these new technologists to come and create new solutions on how to merge things. I think the CEO of MicroStrategy is definitely the way he thinks about it is certainly different than uh, just someone who wants exposure. He wants way more than exposure, right?
What is his name? What is his name, real quick?
It's Michael Saylor.
I'm already friends with him on LinkedIn. Mike Saylor, yeah. What's up, son? Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you think? You think in the future there'll be more public companies that also own things like crypto? Because how do you go through and figure out that governance process of who controls the keys? Is it tied to, shareholders, different things like that? That's like kind of what I'm really getting at when people talk about institutions getting in, it's not going to be just exposure. There are going to be funds and firms that are going to buy crypto, I believe, for the actual ownership element of it and use that as a security moat, if that makes sense, as a strength.
You're gonna have people that are gonna be hitting people up because everything is public, right? So people are gonna be looking at EtherScan and be like, "Hey, Ryan Cooper, you got this $500 million. You living out in Madagascar. You want to join us? No, no thanks. Hang up my little digital phone." Like that's probably gonna what it's gonna be like.
Yeah, so to kind of end things off, I want you to give the students out there, the educators, and even people working on projects, what are the top three tips you have, uh, like for this year, and what you think we should focus on, and then maybe we'll talk to you 3 months later, and see have your predictions come true.
First of all, y'all better start looking at all of the videos from all of the mouse belt and reimagine conferences. First of all, tremendous, tremendous, tremendous value of information. My bad, somebody just hit me up. Um, as well as the YouTube channels that I always follow. Black blockchain consultants, Black people in cryptocurrency, DMV Crypto, my group, DeVille Crypto Solutions. But aside from all of that, look at Cointelgraph, whatever that website is, Cointelgraph. Look at CoinDesk. Um, every day I look at Crypto Revolution, Altcoin Buzz, Altcoin Daily. I love to shout out my best friends, the Gentlemen of Crypto, as well as Crypto Blood, CoinDesk, Coin News Extra. I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing. I watch these YouTube videos every day. Crypto Revolution. I think I said him already. Data Dash, Ivan on Tech. These are all my friends. I rock with them. You know what I mean. I'm subscribers. I pay them money.
Yeah, I mean those are great resources, and appreciate you coming back on another episode of Reimagine and telling your stories of what you've been going through in these virtual times. And yeah, thanks for giving us some thinking points. So thank you everyone. Thanks Ryan. I'm your host Roshan again, and I'll let you all tune back into Reimagine 2020 V5. Thank you.